the Northern Power Women podcast. For your career and your life, no matter what business you're in.
Hello, I'm Sam Walker and welcome to episode... Oh, hang on, it's not July. Episode 13 isn't due yet. But this is the Northern Power Women podcast. In fact, it's a very special bonus celebration issue of the Northern Power Women podcast. So welcome. In this very special episode, you will get the chance to be a fly on the wall at the second Northern Power Women celebration event. It was held in Manchester at KPMG. You'll get to hear some fascinating discussion on negotiating and confidence, and also find out more of Northern Power Women's plans for the next year. But first, June has been one heck of a month for one very special Northern Power woman. In fact, the Northern Power woman, founder and CEO Simone Roche, as she received not one but two honours this month. Firstly, the Women's International Networking Manchester Inspiring Women Worldwide Award, and then the small matter of an MBE. Simone and I caught up to chat about these brilliant achievements in a very glamorous location. My first question to you, Simone, is do I actually need to curtsy now?
Well, yes, and I saw what you were practicing before, Sam, and it was, I think it was a bit more bobbing than it was curtsying. So maybe you should look at a kind of a YouTube clip about proper curtsying. I'm sure the Queen wouldn't have accepted that. You would have been off to the tower, I think.
I love the fact, just to bring us all down to earth, we are recording this interview in the car park of a railway station, just to keep it real, keep it scouse.
Absolutely, we are so this is a very Northern powerhouse, isn't it? You know, we're here live recording from Brunswick Station. You know, the glamour of it all, the glamour of the last week just is the pinnacle right now. I feel like I want to break into a bit of carpool karaoke.
We'll save that for later. There's no Prosecco around yet. Now, look, how long...
drink champagne these days, darling.
Of course, my mistake. I'm so sorry. How long did you need to keep this a secret for?
Oh, my goodness. What felt like years. It was around 5 weeks. And it was one of those where you kind of pinch yourself because you're like... Really? And you go through all the whole imposter syndrome stuff, and then you just really want to high five and tell your mum and your nan and stuff. So keeping a secret is tricky, very, very tricky. Because and obviously you don't want to spoil anything, so you become very, very compliant, you know. So I think it was a week before the list, the Queen's birthday honours were announced officially. I got a call from the Cabinet Office, and I thought it was to talk about Northern Powerhouse or something like that. And it was like, congratulations. And I went, oh, okay, on your MBE. And I looked, first thing I did was, and I was at Halifax Station on that given day. First thing I did was look around just to check no one had heard or overheard, because I didn't want to be naughty. So yeah, it's been quite interesting. I think the hardest was the Friday evening. So it's embargoed till 22:30 on the eve of Her Majesty's birthday. And that was a long few hours. Like, Rob and I went out for dinner. And it was almost like we just literally come on, and then all of a sudden it just seemed to happen, and the social Twitter sphere, Facebook sphere just took over, which was wonderful. Yeah, it's been a quite surreal kind of time. But and do you know what? Interesting, for the last few years, every New Year and every birthday honours, I am there under the covers. I'm not going to disclose anything rude. You have it. I'm there with my phone looking at the list, and I scour for our Northern Power women. And I've done it every year, twice a year, because I want to be the first to celebrate, because we're all about role models, aren't we? We're all about that celebrating success. And I want to be the first to shout about it, because we're super proud, aren't we, of these amazing women in our network, in our community. And it was really weird. I still did it. I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning because I wanted to see and celebrate and kind of share. And it wasn't like always trying to not be about me or anything like that, because I was really proud. but I was just really keen as to who else was out there. We had Emily Cox from Virgin Money, Kate Hardcastle, the most wonderful Marnie Millard, who got our OBE as well. So it's just been really interesting, and I'm part of a group chat, and Marnie was on the group chat going, I think it was on the Saturday, and people are all sending lovely congratulations and lovely words, and Marnie's like, oh, I'm down in London today and we're going to see the Trooping of the Colour, and then we're going to have some bubbles, and I'm going, oh wow, okay, well I'm off to the Knutsford Reclamation and Salvage show, and that must be the difference between an OB and an MBE, I think, is that. but I still had fizz.
What does it mean to you, this honour?
Well, you can tell I'm obviously quite giddy about this. I'm proud. I think it's that real. It's a bit weird, I've had a lot of quite a few weeks to think about it, but I'm really proud. I'm really sort of. I think it just is real testament to what we have created as Northern Power Women. And I know I've worked around gender equality for 10 years, but I think I got a letter today actually from the Women's Equality Minister, and it's not just saying congratulations, it's saying more, and it's a bit like they've obviously read and it just makes a real difference. I think that we set this up, I set this up, didn't I, to accelerate gender equality from the North. And you know what? We're being taken seriously, and that's what this is. I know it's an honour for me, and I've got letters after my name now. My husband keeps getting them the wrong way around, but that's fine. But I think it is a real stamp of approval as to what we've done and what we've grown. Is gaining, that recognition and gaining the impact, and that to me, it means a lot personally. I'm really proud, and I've really celebrated, I have to say. Sometimes you kind of go, oh no, absolutely, it's been wonderful, but I think it is that, I've written letters of commendation for years for other people, and so once I got over that thing about it being for me, it was like, you know what, this is great, because this is for, and I feel like I'm taking one for the Northern Power Women team, and it's not a chore, but it's I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon, thrilled to bits, and it's what we can do with this, because it's always the we and what we're trying to do. But yeah, I feel honoured that we've had that recognition. It's not just a something. It's something that's quite strong and solid, and you don't get this every day. So yeah, I'm absolutely high-fiving, moonwalking, and all those things.
You don't get this every day, and you don't get a week in which you win an award every day. And what about winning 2 awards? Small matter of another award as well. Your win award.
Well, that was the eve of the MBE eve, if you like. So we'd had a wonderful celebration event last week at KPMG with our Future List and Power List, which was phenomenal. Stories, new connections, noise, really that, what we're like at our events, there's always that power and that energy, and the stuff happens, and it's the magic that happens, and the mischief that also happens. So the WIN conference, which took place last week, which has come over, it happens around the world, so Geneva, Rome, Japan, and this is the first time they'd held it in Manchester. It was a suffragette issue, if you like, and so they conspired with my husband to get me there, and it had been a really long week last week, great week but a long week, and so yes, the cheeky so-and-so had conspired to get me there, and I'm sat there and I'm on my phone tweeting, like you do. Always love a bit of social. Out we go. Great event. Really great conversations happening. And the next minute, there's like, this evening we want to recognise an individual, etc., etc. And then I heard the words 3 years, platform, role models, and I'm going, oh, for the love of God, that's me. and you're like, oh God, I think I might be able to have a little bit of a cry here. And I'm like thinking, oh, I should have had a blow dry. I should have got. I would have wanted to do. I know it was just wonderful, because it was something that was. I was in a room full of amazing, men and women, and equally. They were so thrilled, and literally raising a glass or two, and then the tables got pulled back and there was a disco. I've never been at anything like it, so it was completely something so different, but it really worked. So yeah, 2 in 24 hours, and of course I knew that this was going to happen the next day, and I'm thinking, oh no, it's not the Simone show, you know. And it's, but you know, two very different things, but really appreciative. You know, it wasn't like going back to 1974 and winning the egg and spoon race. I have to say last week was better. You know, and really such a phenomenal week with enabling and convening the gatherings that we had last week, but then to sort of finish the week with these awards, and then the literally love and support and the cheerleading that's come from my world of the last 30 years. You know, my 30-year working world, if you like. And so people from the Navy, people from, you know, I've been running 10x Whitehall Women for 5 years, and people from all of the different stages throughout my career. And my mum posted a lovely picture of me sat on the step of my nana's house at the age of 5 with the most amazing ponytails, you know, your big tails. Yeah, but it was all of that. So you know what? It's great. It's really good, and it kind of, it's almost like I feel like I've had that. I spend my time going, you know, take your ownership as a role model, take your ownership as being visible and being present. And this was something. It was like a 2-for-1 special deal, surrounded with love and wrapped up in a big bow, and it was of course a Northern Power Women bow. But yeah, it was phenomenal, and I don't think I'll forget. But obviously now I'm on to the, you know, I've got to get Palace fit, ready for when that happens, and I'm not sure yet, but I would imagine that's going to be autumn time. But yeah, I hope. Can you imagine if me, Marnie, Emily, and Kate are all on the same Northern Powerhouse massive session? My goodness, we'll be bringing the Palace down, I think. But yeah, I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with these phenomenal human beings. Yeah, it's been incredible. Can you hear my voice? I've got the most huskiest voice this week, and yes, lots of celebrating, and lots of conversations. But it's something I'll never forget. But 100% it's for Northern Power Women men out there, and do you know what makes doing what we do so relevant and so important? So yeah, high fives.
The one and only Simone Roche, MBE. Huge congratulations again. So well deserved. Brilliant stuff. Right, on to part 2 of this very special celebration podcast now. The Northern Power Women's celebration event at KPMG in Manchester took place on June the 5th. The sun was shining on hundreds of people as they gathered to reflect a brilliant year for Northern Power Women. Thanks to everyone who attended. Thanks to everyone who took part as well. If you couldn't make it, never fear, because you can hear the whole thing right now. Starting with a welcome by Nicola Quayle, a senior partner of our hosts, KPMG.
Hi, good evening everybody. It's fantastic to see such a colourful room of everybody in summer dresses for the first time this year, I think. My name is Nicola Quayle, and I'm the Office Senior Partner for KPMG here in Manchester. We are incredibly proud to support Northern Power Women and Simone. It's fantastic to see so many Northern Power Women, Northern Power Future Women and Powerlist women. And I should have introduced myself actually as Office Senior Partner for KPMG and proud Northern Power Woman. At KPMG we're passionate about a lot of things, but we're passionate about 2 things here in Manchester. We're passionate about the development of the Northern economy and our part in it. And we're passionate about the 2,000 people that we have at KPMG across our 4 offices in the North. We're passionate about their development in particular. But we totally recognise that to see the success of the Northern economy and the success of our team, we need that team to be diverse and inclusive. The financial and professional services sector doesn't have a brilliant track record in this area. We're making real progress, but we've more to do. But the intent to make the changes that we need to make is absolutely real. From KPMG as a whole, from the firm top down, and particularly from the group that I lead here in Manchester. To quote the Hampton-Alexander review from last week, which we are a real supporter of, we will make no excuses for making progress on this agenda. So for those reasons, we are delighted to support Simone and Northern Power Women because it combines our two passions, development of the North and development of women, which Northern Power Women absolutely stands for. So this is Simone's event, and I'm not going to hog the limelight. I'm going to hand over to her very shortly. We are just very delighted to be able to host the event this evening and to say congratulations to all of you who are the successful women that are at the heart of what Simone's achieving. For those of you who've spent any time with Simone, you will know she is what I would describe as a force. Her energy, drive and passion are absolutely unrivaled in anybody I meet, male or female, within this community. And I think what she has achieved with Northern Power Women, almost single-handedly, because I know you've now got a really small team.
I know.
But it has been almost single-handedly, is nothing short of amazing. So welcome to KPMG, welcome to this celebration event. Enjoy the evening. Please feel free to stay around afterwards for a bit more fizz and a few nibbles. But I'd like to welcome to the stage Simone.
Being 5 foot's not great sometimes. Thank you, Nicola, thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here for the second year, and we're so delighted on your promotion as being the first female senior partner for KPMG, so congratulations to you. So, I know you said this is my event, but actually this is not my event. This is your event. Every single one of you here, it belongs to you. So, Northern Power Women, I created 3 years ago as a force to try and accelerate gender equality from the North. And it is a campaign around celebrating role models. Everybody is a role model to someone. And we've all, we all love that quotation, you can't be what you can't see. And this is the drive that keeps me going, because for me it's about how do we share your stories, your successes, your failures, what you do better, what you do best, what you give back. And we've put these banners out today. We've had 3 years of the awards, and the awards for me were about how do we really actually shout loud and proud about being kick-ass in the North. And that's what those banners are. So if you are on a power list, if you are commended, if you're a winner or a future list, you're on that banner. So please, those of you who know me know I love a selfie. So the hashtag tonight is hashtag NPWCeleb. Okay, it's very, very imaginative. But I want to see the selfies in front of these banners. Well, also tonight, we're going to, we launched a year ago, at this very evening, we launched a podcast hosted by my lovely, everyone starts as a colleague and introduction, and everyone ends up being a friend. So Sam Walker, who hosted the awards for the last 2 years, she produces and collates our brilliant podcasts. If you haven't heard, then you cannot leave tonight without downloading the podcast. In 1 year, we've had 5,000 downloads, which apparently, I'm not as cool as the cool kids, a little bit. But apparently you get about 500 in the first year. Well, we've had 5,000, and they span globally. And the passion is to share the voices and to amplify what is happening in the north of England. And it's been a really interesting week. As some of you may have read the article, there was a brilliant article last week. It was something about the 10 reasons that you really shouldn't have women on boards. It was a cracker. It was a cracker. And I don't write very much, but I suddenly thought, you know what, we have to counter that. Let's look for the top 10 reasons to have women on boards. So I sent a random, so thank you for those of you who probably allowed me to break GDPR or whatever, I'm not sure. But I'm just me, so please don't see me. And we looked, are we filming? No, David. And I asked, what's your tip? And some of you, it was Sarah Hall, Sarah Hall came back with 10. You actually rewrote what the 10 were, and it was brilliant, and it's in a blog online, please. And we wanted to capture what those stories are, and I ended up doing national television a week ago. I was on Channel 5 for a whole 10 seconds. I was very proud of myself. But I think it's testimony to what you are all doing, the fact that people are now interested in what we as Northern Power Women, which, don't be mistaken by the name, it's a very deceptive brand. For me, it's about all genders, all backgrounds, all sectors, all age groups, all achievements, because we are all doing something great. And that is really what sort of the power of this is. And what I want to do this evening is we're actually going to create tonight a celebration podcast to add to those 5,000 subscribers, which will be 5,100 by the time you've all left tonight. And we want to capture some of those sound bites. And in a short while, we're going to have two set 10-minute conversations between one of our future list, power list, one of our partners, and one of our winners. Because we want to, again, share what those stories are. So I just wanted to very quickly, oh, there we are. A lot goes on. This started in 2015, but what's happened in the last year? So welcome to those of you who I've never met before, and those of you who've let me hug you, because I know all your faces. And I am a bit awkward and creepy sometimes. You're like, oh, hi, you know, Jessica and Dominique's looking at me like, oh my goodness. It's because we trawl over those pictures and we put the brochures together and we put the lovely banners together, because it's really important that you're all visible. But I just wanted to have a bit of a high five. We all should be high-fiving ourselves. We all need to be our own sort of #1 fans, because we're all amazing, okay? So I just wanted to look at that. So I've got like amazing people in my life. Amazing is an overword I use, I know, I get it. So I've got, I hate to when I say that, my Northern Power man in the corner, that's my husband over there. It's not Captain Birdseye, no, it's my husband. He hates me a bit right now. Then I've got my brother here, who always captures the moment. I've got lovely Emma, who's joined the team for 5 or 6 weeks ago, I don't know. But I've known Emma for years, and Emma just gets it, knows what we do, and she's keeping me moving now, which is brilliant. I'm sort of scheduling everything we do. And then I've got 2 wonderful women. Where are you? Adele, come on. Adele is our ambassador in Newcastle, because where did you come from? and Jade is our ambassador and brand director in Lancaster. Because it was really important to me. We've got amazing cities across the Northern Powerhouse, but how do we really reach everywhere? And as much as I know I'm a bit of a road runner and I'll kind of run around a million miles an hour, I can't get everywhere. So I need all of your help to reach out and to gather kind of what's going on. But Adele created this lovely graphic for us to try and sort of look at what the last year. So a year ago we had the first sort of gathering of you as an alumni, if you like. Because that was always important. So we launched for the conference in 2015, but in 2016 when we created the awards, it was totally essential that was something that this wasn't just for one night. Northern Power Women is not Christmas Day. It's about what we do ongoing, and it's about what we drive ongoing. So last year when I talked really fast at Christine and Joe from KPMG and went, hello, this is a great space to hold an event. Okay, Simone, yeah. We had an event here. We had the same weather, which is how Northern Power Women rolls. We have good sun as well. And we had the first event here, and again with a view to go, look at what we're doing. We then launched MPW Live, which is a fake TED-style event. I'm a TEDx licensee. I've run TEDx Whitehall Women in London for 5 years, but we created MPW Live to again give a different platform to amplify voices from the North. So all of those talks are all online, and I think, Rob Mukherjee, where are you, lovely? Our Agent of Change winner. Rob, you did one of the talks. Who else? Is anyone else here did one of the talks? Tanya? No, Tanya's not here. So again, it was just 10-minute talks, all online, just to kind of shout about sort of the different interests and different activities that we're doing. We then launched the 3rd awards. We had 950 nominations this year. Yes, I know. You know, I never expected this, but it's you that makes it happen. You know, I had to up the judges to 38 because it's really important that we have a split of judges to do different categories, so you really give those judges give blood, sweat and tears. And I know we've got some of our judges here tonight as well. Ruth, you give that blood, sweat and tears to make sure that you are really considering what has been nominated and what has been written. We had a brilliant Reconnect event in partnership with Vodafone at the back end of last year as well, looking at what it, you know, for career returners. Denise, you were involved in that as well. It is, everyone's involved in it, isn't it? As I said, we had 950, I did myself down, 959 nominations. And then we had 580 people attend the awards this year here in the Hilton in Manchester. We had 120 on the wait list, which is really awkward for me because you want to be that inclusive, everyone come. You know, you want to get a ticket, you know. So it's what we do next, you know, it's how we grow that without it being unnecessary, you know. How do you grow it with that inclusivity? And that's where I need you to keep me in check as well. We've got 400 role models, role models on our website now. And what we're looking to do is to expand those stories. So we've got some great partnerships that we're working with at the moment, including, we've got, we had 10 million people, 10 million viewers, 10 million on Twitter that viewed the awards. We beat Bake Off. That's where it's on the side. We beat the Champions League, but it was more important to beat Bake Off. You know, we've got some brilliant partnerships because you can't do it without the partnerships. I purposely have never gone down that sort of government funding or anything route. It's been a bit, just go ahead, build a field, and it will come. And the partnerships are coming now, and the support is coming. You know, so we launched a brilliant partnership with Manchester Airport Group, which is ongoing, and I'm delighted that they're going to be one of our headline partners at the awards next year. It's never happened for me like that this year, so I'm really grateful for that support. Thank you. Woo! We've got a partnership with NatWest, who are we've got a lunch tomorrow with some of our futurists, with the chief exec of NatWest, of RBS Bank. Again, looking at what those future conversations look like. And we've recently held some download sessions in Newcastle, Manchester and Leeds, looking at what the future of work looks like for those people who live and work in the north. Because I've just seen a real power from the future list. I've seen a real power from what these individuals do, achieve, create, connect and grow, and I want to harness that. And if I can support, convene and enable that, then we can do that as part of what we're doing. So we held these sessions. I call them downloads because roundtable sounded boring. So, so we created, and again, the feedback that we've had from that is great, and specifically not just for women, but for women, you know, for young women and young men as well, and looking at what that looks like. We've worked with Manchester Met University. Gosh, hold on a second. Cheers to you anyway. We've worked with Manchester Met University, which is a partnership that I found through Vandermeer over here, and they've launched a series of toolkits as well to work across. It's great when you see it all fall there, isn't it? We also in May launched, again with the support of KPMG, we've launched a series of power circles. Excuse me. Oh, I love apple juice. I love apple juice. I don't know, I'm looking up there, it's there. And we launched a series of power circles, and what we've done is we've gathered, we launched one in, we ran one in Leeds, and which is now the Yorkshire Power Circle. We ran one a few weeks ago here in Manchester. And the whole conversation was not about gender pay gap, Me Too. It was about what are the business criteria. That's Andy Burnham, he's late. No, he's not coming. It was what are our business necessities for our regions. So that's why we've held one separately in Manchester. We've held one in, it's not me, or is it? No. So we've held them in, and it was about the conversation of business. So not, you know, we've got 25, 30 women in a room talking about business, not talking about sort of the obvious. So we've got our next one in Newcastle in next month. So again, that's something we're looking to take forward and grow, because it's not just about having a dinner, it's what we do with those conversations. And we're now at 12.9 thousand social media followers as well, which again, that really is what's driven this campaign over the last few years, is that social, those conversations that you spark, that you enable and that you grow and that you deliver on. Because when I hear back of some of the stuff that you know, the fact that Sam White couldn't accept her award because she was in Australia doing business, you know, that's what an outstanding entrepreneur does. It's brilliant to be able to celebrate and share that success. So that's it. I may as well put my feet up for the rest of the year. But no, apparently we won't. So we've got a number of things coming up. We've got, actually, I've updated that slightly. We've got the launch of sort of our NatWest partner, our future sessions, which start tomorrow, because we may as well do another event tomorrow, right? I've been asked to speak at the Northern Powerhouse Summit over in Newcastle next month. I don't think I'm the only woman either, Helen. Yeah. And we're launching the awards again in September. We've got a great partnership with Edit Development, that we've developed this peer-to-peer mentoring scheme, and it's a program actually. It's not a scheme. The whole point is that as a peer group, both parties can both benefit. It's not about one is any better than the other. So that's something we launched earlier this year. So we've got the next cohort in October. And we've got Jane. Jane has been working on a pilot with Lancaster Girls' School about a schools programme. So we're in a product sort of development phase with them. And then we've got the Northern Power Futures Festival. So this is what we've been doing those download sessions for. What does the future of work look like by those people who are going to work in it? So we have a couple of surveys out there which we'd love. We've had, I think, over 200 people respond so far, because there's no point in me putting that together, because, you know, I'm not 25 anymore, you know, not quite. So we want to hear from the different voices and the different conversations, with the view that we will have one here in Manchester and then one over in Newcastle as well at the back end or end of next year. I need a venue. I don't need a typical venue, I need an unusual venue that can have different stages. So any thoughts on that would be great. So for me, I just want to sort of celebrate what you have enabled to happen. You've enabled and sort of motivated and inspired me to do, what you have kind of fed to me, what you continue to do. I want to really raise a glass and ask you to keep it coming. You know, recruit people and get people in that don't look like you. Bring other people into the conversation. You know, we've been growing. We haven't got enough men here tonight, but that has been a big thing. Is growing those our male advocates as well, and how we do that to kind of really motivate and inspire this change. So I 100% want to raise a glass to all of you. Cheers. Cheers. This evening we want to capture, we've got a squad tonight capturing some audio, some video, because we want to put it out in a kind of follow-up blog, because I'm that cool now. Just to kind of keep those conversations going. But you are all part of it, and you are all really welcome. So thank you all for being amazing Northern Power women. Thank you. We're now going to take us forward into our conversations. So these are not going to be, they're going to be audio recorded, because they're going to go into our celebration podcast. I know you're all stood, so we're going to have 2 conversations that are 10 minutes each. So just have a little bit of a, you know, kind of loosen up, okay? Top up while we get Sam and Edvita to the stage and get them warmed up. And we will do 10 conversations. Thank you. Welcome to the conversations part of this evening. Like I said, we're going to have 2 10-minute snap conversations. So I'm going to hand over to Sam White, who was the winner of the Outstanding Entrepreneur Award this year, and Edvita, who is now part of our Future List, who I have to say, Edvita's written an amazing blog this week, and also only jumped in this afternoon around about 2 o'clock. So I love anyone who says yes and work out later. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our wonderful first conversation. Thank you.
And I promise not to sing, which would be alarming for all of us. Sam White, CEO of Freedom Group.
Epsiode Patel, Communications Manager at the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority. Yeah, it's really sexy, I know, but yeah, that's where I work now.
I'm so glad you said that.
I know.
So one of my first questions was going to be, so what do you do? That might not be the right question.
No. So I'm the Communications Manager at the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority. I've worked there only for a short time. Prior to that, I used to work at Manchester Airport as the Communications Manager for the Transformation Programme. So I don't know if those of you who have travelled through the airport would have seen the kind of building work that's going on there. So I used to be kind of responsible for comms, you know, behind that. So I'm only fairly new in the world of nuclear, so don't ask me any nuclear-based type
Darn it, that ruins all 5 of my questions. So in your business environment, do you see, because I guess nuclear power, airports, it's quite male fields generally.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel that you see a fair representation of all demographics at all areas?
I think at the head office level, no, definitely not. I think there's some work to be done at that level. You're right, it's in very male-dominated industries, both of them, nuclear and the airport. Women in general are definitely working their way up, you know, the career ladder at both these industries, but there's definitely some more work to do. And if we take the BME kind of population, then we're quite rare breed, if you want to call us that, in those both worlds, especially as a woman of Indian origin, which is, you know, I was born and bred in the northwest, born in Bolton actually, and growing in the industry that I work in, which is communications. And when I first started off in that industry, which was about 15 years ago, it was quite rare to see anyone of Asian female descent, I suppose, to work in that industry that I could personally identify with. So it is definitely, it is changing, definitely from 15 years ago, but it is still quite a male.
How does that make you feel? So walking into an environment where you can't see anybody that looks like you, that you identify with, what's the...
It is, really weirdly, I never really thought about it in great detail until today. When Emma kindly sent me the questions beforehand, I never really put too much thought behind it, but when I was thinking about, the kind of responses I'd give and how I'd react to some of the questions, I did think actually, when I actually graduated in IT in early 2000, and there wasn't anyone in IT or in that tech field that I could really identify with. So typically, because I couldn't identify with anyone, I moved into communications and PR and marketing because it seemed to be quite a female-dominated industry. And I'm thinking, I thought back to if I was, back to when I was 21 and I graduated and all enthusiastic and wanted to be the future, Microsoft owner, female version of that Asian owner, would my future be different now? So I never really thought about it until today, but I think my path could have taken a slightly different view if I had a person or a role model that I could identify with.
And I think that's what's so important about this group is kind of giving those role models and changing that perspective. So not being the next Microsoft owner, what is your career goals?
To continue and keep growing as a communications professional. I thrive on, and I'm a huge advocate, as Sarah Hall knows, who's the current president of CIPR, so I'm the vice chair of the internal comms committee for CIPR, and I always believe that, and you're probably the same, Sam, in terms of your role as a CEO, if you want to make a change and you want to challenge the kind of norm, you have to actually do something about it. So, and to make a difference, I wanted to do something about that, and the excuse of being northern based and not having the kind of avenue to do anything, you need to get up with, bum, really, and go and do it. So I travelled down to London 4.5 years ago to the AGM, not knowing anyone, never spoken to anyone, down in London, the big smoke where the dreams are made and all that. So it wasn't, you do have to kind of take, the kind of comfort. You've got to go out of your comfort zone a little bit to do these kind of things, and I suppose I want to question you now, as a chief exec, of a really successful business stuff. Was it a challenge for you to come out of that comfort zone and approach like a male-dominated industry?
I think it's more of a prejudice to be northern, to be fair. I live in London now, and I find I get more pushback for being northern than being female. But no, joking aside, I started my first business when I was 24, so I feel very lucky in that respect, and I'm very conscious of that when I'm engaging with women, because I've never had to fight in a corporate environment. I go into corporate environments and frankly run screaming for the building as quickly as possible. But I understand it's a totally different dynamic, and I'm curious about it, which is where talking to people like you and your experience of it, because I only have experience of my own business, and so my perspective is very skewed, because 70% of my management team are female, and clearly because I'm female, I don't see it as a barrier in that way, but that's because I've created my own environment and I'm not being subjected to somebody else's view of the world.
And I think, I've always only ever worked in the corporate world, which is really unusual because my parents have always worked for themselves and were really, really disappointed when I didn't want to set up my own business and I wanted to join the corporate world. And I suppose when I heard Simone talking earlier about role models, and my mum, I suppose, is one of my biggest role models, and she never, and I know it sounds like a cliche and everyone's mum's that kind of role model, but my mum, being, she came to this country when she was 15 years old on her own, and she kind of empowered me and my sister to achieve anything we wanted to do. So I kind of went into those organisations with that gutso, and and that kind of empowerment, and I never really allowed anyone to define who I was as an individual or the colour of my skin or where my background was, and I never really paid attention to it. So I suppose when I said earlier, I didn't really think about it. I didn't really think about it, and I think I'm lucky because I was supported by some amazing role models throughout my kind of career and working with these amazing individuals. But I am aware that there are some, young women and even young men who don't have that kind of role model they can look up to and be supported by. And I suppose as the chief exec of your organisation, you just said that 70% of your management force are female. How did you kind of, do you reckon was that a conscious decision on your part to kind of...
No, so from my perspective, and this is going to sound sexist the other way, but I really try and only hire based on merit. So I have lots of different ages in my business, different nationalities, different backgrounds. I've just hired a guy with a PhD who's Indian and in his 50s, and he's absolutely brilliant. And he brings something completely different to the table to everybody else that I've got in the team. So the fact that I've got 70% female is just because I thought they were the best people for the job. And I think that's what frustrates me with business is that I don't think we always choose based purely on merit. I think that we're all a bit subject to unconscious bias, and the problem is that people currently in power are of a certain demographic, and I don't even think it's deliberate half the time. They just naturally gravitate towards what they know, and really what I want to see is that we smash that down and we start to just judge people purely on how good are you at your job.
100% agree. And this is going to sound really controversial, but I am really reluctant to join groups such as BME groups in organisations and groups that are female-only kind of groups, because I always think they're quite... And some work brilliantly, but I have been part of some groups, especially BME groups, where they're quite isolated, and they're sat in a really darkened room somewhere down in a random corridor. There's 7 or 8 people who are like raging about the fact they haven't been given opportunities, and I've never ever. And the blog that Simone referred to was something just wrote on the Sunday about. I grew up in quite a difficult, racist kind of neighbourhood, I suppose, and that kind of gave me the strength and the empowerment to not be a victim. And I think it's really important not to become the victim and keep fighting, for going forward and becoming a great role model.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Sam and Vita. Sam and Vita are not going anywhere. Well, Vita can't go anywhere because she matches the chair, quite frankly. So we're now going to welcome Adrian and Alice to the stage. And this next conversation, I think, is going to be really interesting. So Adrian, who is one of been our big supporter for the awards this year from Mawson, is the operations director there, is the stand-in double for the chairman and all this kind of thing. Adrian actually has just given me some rather good news and just committed to partnering and supporting Northern Power Women for the next year. So I think we should all celebrate. I kind of had the desire to do a little dance, but that's what that dance feels like later. So I really appreciate. We really appreciate the support, so thank you. And also to our wonderful Alice. So Alice is part of our power list as well. And this conversation we were talking about was going to be like a global conversation. So I'm going to pass over for the next 10 minutes for you to talk about the world.
Okay, hi everyone, really nice to be here. I'm Alice, and
I'm Adrian, Global Operations Director for Mawson. So we're a big recruitment firm. I need to recruit more men, I think. I've just decided this. I'm glad Rob's supporting me here this evening. So I'm 2 of us, so that's going to be the first job.
So the work that I do, I'm part of the McCann Advertising Network. I head up one of the divisions there. We were both given instructions not to wear dresses because of the mic situation, and I think we managed that okay. So far, so good. So I think you've got the drill. We're going to throw each other some challenging questions, fix each other with steely glares, and see who drops the gaze first or not. Okay, so I'm going to kick path, and I suppose I'm going to start with a bit of an anecdote. So the other week, I was chatting with the chairman of an organisation, and he was asking me what sort of role I would really like to do. And I said, well, I'd be quite interested in doing a COO role. And he was like, well, why would that be? And I'm like, well, because I could really get to understand an organisation and know how it works and all the parts. And his response was, if you were a man, you would come straight up to me and be saying you wanted the CEO role. So I guess it kind of begs the question, Adrian, what are your thoughts on whether women are as likely to push themselves to the limit of their skills in the same way that men are?
Yeah, it's a good point. Doing the COO role, I'd advise against that personally. But no, I think for me, it's a confidence thing, and it's amazing the difference between the confidence in men and women. And I think it's great having a network like this. It's great having hopefully access to mentors. I think for me, one of the things I'm working on with a number of the ladies in our business is giving them exposure and experience to get that confidence, so that they can apply for that next role. They can go for a role that they should be going for anyway. So I think that's one thing that we're working on, not only in our business but with customers. It always amazes me when we talk to customers that have been asked to go for a role, and it's predominantly women that don't feel confident enough. So it's about giving people the right experience and exposure, giving the right development plans and access to mentors that will give them that confidence to do that. So just in terms of that, if you don't mind me asking you a question, just in terms of mentorship and role models, who are yours, what do they mean to you, and do you think it's important from a mentoring perspective for females to have a strong female mentor, or do you think it doesn't matter about gender? Multiple questions, sorry.
Multiple interesting questions. So the issue of mentorship is quite a big one at the moment, isn't it? It's quite a buzzword. For me, I can't say that I've had one long-term mentor, but I've been really lucky in that I've had a series of people, either in the forms of managers or colleagues, and I'm really lucky in that I've got a great friendship group as well. So I've learnt lots of things about different aspects of both professional and personal life, and I've also had people who I've learnt how not to do things from as well. So I think mentorship can come in lots of different forms. If you're lucky, you'll have that one person who's there throughout your entire career with you, or as for me, it comes in lots of different forms and lots of different people. So certainly I think I've been very fortunate. In answering your question about is it important to have female role models and mentors, I don't necessarily think so. In terms of how you learn from people, I've had great mentors who've been men, but I think that it is really helpful to have other females who you can exchange experiences with, because you will have common experiences in a way that perhaps you won't with men. Okay, so throwing a question back at you, Adrian. In terms of your tips for success, obviously you work with a varied workforce, both men and women. What advice do you give your team about how to move forwards and what they should do to progress their careers?
Okay, yeah, no, I think it's interesting, the tips for success. Well, I think for me, I use an example who's actually on the future list, Sam Price. She's a great example for someone who wants to change something, wants to is very much part of this community and the agenda. And I think for me, Sam comes to me with the problem, the solution, the commercial impact and the benefits of that. And I think when people do that, you can't say no. And I think that's the way, if you want to change something, and as we're here today is about talking about change and developing and making an impact, then that's one of my tips for success is lots of people get the opportunity and exposure to very senior people, and I find they've got lots of great ideas, but they don't necessarily always communicate those in the right way. And I think taking that sort of structured approach to say, okay, here's what I want to change, this is why, this is the problem that it's creating, here's the benefits, and here's how to do it. So it makes it very easy to make that decision. And I think when people engage with senior people in that way as well, again, I think it's a way of them developing their career, being seen, and I think having those conversations that make an impact is certainly one to sort of help people with that future career. My other one is have balance as well. I think it's not all about work. I think having that balance between a social, whatever it is that you're into, baking, cooking, sports, I think it's important to have that, because I think as you become more senior in an organisation, being able to have that balance and being able to switch off, I think is critical to success as well.
Very true.
My wife's in the room tonight, so it'll be quite interesting if she says I switch off or not. So I won't tell you who she is.
I already know who she is. I'll ask her later.
So for me, another one, again, it was mentioned earlier in quite a few in terms of global business. It's really exciting about the Northern Powerhouse, and it's great to see that it's on the agenda. For me, we talk about developing talent, but in the north we lose a lot of talent, sadly, to the south. Do you think it's really important that you have to go to London for the big jobs? And what do you think the Powerhouse can do in terms of influencing that?
So I have a massive bias in that the business that I work in, we work globally, so all of my clients are global pharmaceuticals, and we work with the majority of all the big blue chips, and this is a team that has largely been developed, grown, they've trained all in the Northwest. And clearly there is a global demand for the expertise that we have and other businesses in the northwest have. So it is something that I feel really passionately about. I think that if you develop the right skill sets, and as I said, a lot of our guys are homegrown from Manchester, a lot of Manchester University graduates, so we're really proud of that. So there is always, of course, a bias towards the larger cities, but I very firmly believe that we've got a massive talent base in the Northwest. I feel really strongly about it, and I do feel that we've got a lot to offer in the global setting.
Yeah, I think there's some, for me certainly, especially over the last few years, I think Manchester, the organisations that we're getting to Manchester, the way those organisations are changing and developing, I think we've got some really cutting edge employers here. So for me, definitely stay in the north.
Absolutely, and I think if you look at a lot of the work, like for example Midas and Marketing Manchester are doing it, I mean it really highlights that. So yeah, all about the northwest as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so changing gears somewhat, I'm going to ask you, Bob's giving me the 1 minute notice, so obviously you're in recruitment, so I'm going to throw the last killer question to you, Adrian. So do you actually see a difference in the way that, because I want some top tips of course, do men and women negotiate differently when it comes to securing that job that they want?
Yeah, they definitely do. I've got 30 seconds to answer this one, so I'll be quick. And it links back to my question, just the question earlier, really, around confidence. And I think if you've got the confidence and had that exposure to different environments, and you've built up that level of experience, and you've had that connectivity with senior people, then I think your ability to negotiate is better. But certainly men, as it stands, do negotiate probably a bit more aggressively than females, with no right to either. So develop that confidence, and that's the key.
Well, I feel very fortunate because I think we're in good company amongst many confident, brilliant women.
Absolutely.
So I think that is our 10 minutes of fame up. So thank you very much, Adrian, and thank you everyone.
Adrian and Alice, just actually while you're there, before you move, any questions from the audience? Any? You all want to go sunning yourself on this beautiful KPMG. Athena, I know.
I've got one.
Go with us. There is a microphone coming your way, Angela.
Is this a microphone or just a thing?
Just a
okay.
microphone.
So I thought that last question was particularly interesting given all of the coverage on the gender pay gap. And just putting you a little bit more under pressure, Adrian, in what way are men better at negotiating their package? What do you think the difference is? How do they communicate differently? What can we learn as females in business from our male counterparts in relation to our package negotiations? I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, I do think it's fascinating. I do think it relates back to the point about putting yourselves forward for jobs. Certainly, you know, anyone I've got a number of customers in the room who know the team I'm surrounded with, strong, very intelligent females. And I think for me, it's having that confidence. And one thing I've worked with them on is just that communication. And I think it's not just men. You know, certain people do it better than others, but it is having that ability to sell yourself and not undervalue yourself. And I think the more exposed, I think it's harder for women in you know middle management roles and senior management roles. I do think actually when you're at director level and board level, I've been cut off now. It is easier. So I think a lot of the work I do is with that more middle management level, because I think it is giving them that confidence, that exposure that they are worth what they're going for. And I think it seems quite a simplistic answer, doesn't it? But for me, if you've been there, you've done that, you've delivered a project that has had quite a significant impact on the business, then you are worth what you should be paid. So I think it is back to that exposure, experience, and confidence.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Just 1 second, Sally. We've got Helen here first.
Oh,
you can't just rise from the ashes at the back.
Hi, my name's Helen Pidd. I'm the North of England editor of The Guardian newspaper. I just wondered if either of you seen any evidence that the kind of top graduates are staying in the North rather than going off to London, which is something that obviously we've seen for many decades now. Is it changing at all?
Do you want to say that one first? I've got a view on that if you want me to go first. Yeah, so I've definitely seen that, especially in tech. I think it's really exciting in the Northwest. A number of large organisations, the likes of MAG, are going through a digital transformation, so there's some really interesting projects there. There's a number of niche startup boutique businesses that are keeping some of the best tech graduates. So I do think there is that pull factor. I think the BBC, I think that there's been a number of things over the last few years where we've seen actually that London pull isn't as great, which is good.
I mean, from my perspective, certainly within our sector, what we are seeing is several London-based agencies who are now wanting to set up satellite offices in the Northwest because they recognise that this is where a lot of certainly in my field, a lot of the scientific talent is. So I'm sure that there may be still a certain pull towards London, but for me the biggest indicator is that a lot of London companies are coming up here, which speaks volumes.
Sally Penny?
Rise up from the ashes again, Sally.
Oh, thanks very much. I don't think I need to amplify my voice. Firstly, thank you for a great evening, Simone, and the panel. Second, I've got 3 points. Secondly, I found the conversation about confidence and negotiation somewhat patronising because, Adrian, you've obviously never negotiated with me or maybe anybody else in this room. But my question really is about where you see the conversations about gender acceleration now we're in Brexit. Do you see things getting better for women in general? I don't mean in confidence negotiation, you've covered that. But what I mean is in terms of income and keeping graduates in the North and so on and so forth, because we are in a pool now, specifically, where we need to grow the economy. Where do you see the improvement for women?
Okay, first I'd say, when answering these questions, it is generic, As I said, my wife's in the room, she negotiates extremely well for me on all occasions. So, and she stood next to one of my customers as well, who also equally negotiates very well with me. So, I think the exciting thing about gender balance and a little bit about Brexit is the importance that's being placed on developing talent, retaining talent. I think there's a lot of topics. Encouraging more women into engineering is obviously a big driver for us, being the largest engineering recruiter. So I think it's great. I think it's accelerated conversations. I think it's put it on board agenda. I actually think all those things needed to happen, but I think Brexit probably accelerated that. So for me, it's just enabled those conversations to reach action points rather than just debates. I think all the things we're experiencing now we've been talking about for a long, long time, but it's never had an impact on a business to the extent where the board have said we need to do something about that, and that's within our customer base. We actually need to make an impact. So I think for me, it's all part of an agenda of change, which is for the better, really. And I think it's just high up there on the agenda.
Thank you.
So from my perspective, Sally, I'm really lucky in that working in the life sciences sector, it's very female dominated. If you look at a lot of the graduates, it's heavily skewed towards females. So we're really lucky in that in the short term, Brexit won't impact that, and we'll continue to have a fabulous pool of bright scientists to tap into. I think longer term, what will beg some questions is that in the north, well, anywhere in the UK, we really need to maintain those standards of academic excellence and research, and we really need to look at where that longer term funding for that research is coming from to make sure that we're at the top of our game. So those are really the perspectives from the field that I'm in.
Super, thank you.
You are standing between me and a glass of wine, by the way.
Somebody get Alice a glass of wine. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Alice, and thank you to all of you. Alice, there's a glass of wine coming your way. It just leads me to thank you all. So thank you to Avita, to Sam, to Alice, and to Adrian. Thank you for your conversations this evening. Thank you for all of you for joining in those conversations. Thank you for Twitter. It's great. It's really happening out there. Thank you for keeping those conversations going. I want to thank KPMG for supporting this evening for the second year, and the Power Circles, and just everything else I seem to ask. They're really kind of supportive of this whole kind of campaign of what we're trying to do. So thank you Nicola, thank you Christine, and thank you Chris Rutherford. Chris Rutherford, who's been a brilliant, where is he? Chris Rutherford, who we've been dealing with on all these events, is leaving to go travelling over to Oz, and I want to just make note of really thanking him for his support. I want to thank the people that I couldn't do this without. Okay, I'll come back to you because that's a given. You know, I can't do this without you. So I want to thank my husband Rob. I want to thank my brother David for always capturing beautiful imagery. He's fabulous. I want to thank the headshot guy for supporting tonight. I want to thank my wonderful ambassadors, Jane and Adele. So Adele and Jane have just been they're full-time unpaid workers for me, but they're like my #1 cheerleaders, and I really value and thank your support. And thanks to Em, it's like she appeared by magic there. And thank you to all of the people that sort of have faith and give. But it is about you. This is all about you, and it should continue to be about you and those people that you pull through with you, those people that you influence above, influence around. The people that we walk around, how do we engage those in part of the conversation? So we've just got a couple of... Here he is! This is Chris Rutherford.
Sorry about that.
Awkward. Bon voyage, Chris. We want to have... On the podcast, we have something called Ask the Hive, which is a section we have right at the end, which is where we look for your questions. Your sort of questions that you put out to the wider community. So if there's any questions, burning career questions, or business or organisation questions that you want to throw out tonight, we will record them. Just come find one of us and we will record that. And we will put one on one of the Ask the Hive. Carolyn as well, where has she gone? I've lost her. Carolyn, she is at the back. Carolyn's also capturing what is Northern Power Women's mission to you? What does it mean to you? I'm driving this ship. Train, bus, whatever, however we got here. Hopefully not delayed. I know this really well. Transparent lady's just gone, so I can tell. So what is your mission? What is Northern Power Women to you? Because that helps me steer where we're going. We innovate as we go, so I rely on that feedback and that thought and that insight and that informed. conversation. I know that will probably drive Jane and Adele mad because that means it shifts where our brand is, but you know, we value that because this is how we're taking this. So, but please wear your pin badges with pride. If you've got a pin badge, please. If you've got your button badge, if you've already got a pin badge, maybe give that button badge to someone else tomorrow. Make them wear. And recruit more people as agents of change. Recruit more people to kind of help us accelerate this. But really, congratulations to all of you. Thank you to all of you. Cheers to all of you. I now encourage you all to kind of mix with some of the other people that you don't know. On your badge, it actually says whether you're powerless, futureless, outstanding, commended, whether you're just a guest or especially a guest. Please just connect. Find someone you haven't met and have that conversation. And then find your buddies and have a good old gab with them. But please, top up your glasses. Oh, and also, where is she, my lovely Gemma? Gemma Truman. Gemma Truman makes the most outstanding glassware. When we created the awards, I wanted the awards to be created by female talent. So I put it out on the world of Twitter. And we found a glass blower from the Wirral, now residing in the Northern Quarter with a whole studio growing. Gemma, come here. Come here. Gemma has some amazing artwork at the back. Anybody you know that would love a lovely installation, it'd be lovely here in the reception at KPMG, I'm sure. But please, this is what it's about. It's recognising all talent. Every talent, every walk of life. So Gemma has always been a perfect example to me of what a Northern Power woman looks like and how she's grown and developed her business through herself. So cheers to you all. Thank you for all being here. Please continue to enjoy the wonderful hospitality of KPMG and the wonderful balcony and the selfies. Please, people. And we will see you again next year. You are all very welcome. Thank you so much.
Again, huge thank you to everybody who came along to join in, and especially to those who took part as well. Well, we really hoped you enjoyed this very special celebration edition. Don't forget, episode 13 of the Northern Power Women podcast will be with you on Tuesday, July the 3rd. Oh, before I head off into the sunset, actually, another big celebration klaxon and huge excitement that the Northern Power Women podcast has been nominated for Best Podcast in this year's Northern Blog Awards. Cross your fingers and toes for us. The glittering ceremony takes place in September. Of course, we'll let you know, but thank you so much to everyone who nominated us. OK. Well, until July the 3rd and episode 13 of the Northern Power Women podcast, I'm Sam Walker, and this has been a What Goes On media production for Northern Power Women.